Hello everybody, it's Kara from Wild Book Garden, and today I'm here with kind of a new take on a currently reading update. Like for me at least, I'm sure other people have done this. So I am going to talk about my current reads, but first I'm actually going to talk about the things that I am currently knitting. One of my goals for 2023 was wanting to incorporate a couple of other interests into my content, while still keeping it bookish, of course. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to highlight all the projects that I technically have on my needles right now, because that's a lot. Some of them are hard to get to, and a couple of them I just don't feel like talking about. Like that white and gray winter scarf that you guys have seen me working on if you've been following our crafting sprints. It is the scarf that will never die, so I'm not going to share that here because you've like probably seen it already. But I am going to talk about most of the other projects that I have and that I am like actively working on. So first, I have to be very careful not to like lose anything or like slip any stitches off my needles. Maybe I'll regret doing this, but it seemed like a fun idea at the time. Okay, so the first one I want to mention is a pair of socks. This is the first sock that I am working on in the pair, so after I'm done with this, I still have to do another sock, but I'm making really good progress. If you can see, I've already turned the heel, which I find really satisfying. I know that's one of the parts that like a lot of people don't like, and I can definitely understand why, but for me at least, I like it. I find it fun. The thing I don't like as much is picking up stitches, but I'm actually getting better about those. So anyway, this is going to be, like, I'm making these like extra big socks, so I'm using a thicker yarn and I'm using a larger needle size and more stitches because these are going to be like slipper socks kind of. So they're like really outsized. They're not meant to fit like regular socks, and these are going to be for my mom because I have actually made her a couple of other pairs of these like slipper socks before. Basically, it's like a regular sock pattern, but I just like kind of size everything up so that they fit more like slippers or like over socks even. And my mom actually has worn a hole in a pair of hers, so I need to figure out how to like darn that. I think I know the technique I'm going to use and I just have to do it, but I also do want to make her a couple of other pairs, so that is what I'm working on. I think she even like apologized to me. She said she like felt bad because she like wore a hole in them, and I'm like, are you kidding me? It makes me so happy that like you appreciate them and wear them enough for that to happen. So yeah, I'm really I like doing socks actually. It's been a while since I did a pair, and it used to be like I used to say that like I would never make a pair of socks, like it just looked too difficult, but then I found a really fantastic like super basic high detail, high explanation pattern where it's basically like this is a full in detail explanation of how to make a sock. It's not even like it's way more detailed than a normal pattern is, and I will link that below. Like I highly recommend it. I'm so happy I like stumbled across it on somebody's blog, and she has like actually updated her blog since then, which like is exciting. So anyway, like if you're a hesitant sock knitter, I highly recommend that pattern. Obviously, you're still a real knitter if you never do socks. Don't feel like you have to, but if you ever feel like you want to try, but you're intimidated about where to start, check out that pattern. It's great. So that is one of the projects I'm actively working on. Then I'm actually knitting another project on double pointed needles, which I feel like I don't usually have more than one going at a time. But these are going to be like leg warmers that I'm making for myself, and like I really love this color, and I think the pattern is beautiful, like if I do say so myself. I mean, I didn't write the pattern, I'm just knitting it, but I think it's gonna come out so pretty. And like this is one of those projects that I had kind of left like languishing, and I hadn't worked on in a long time, and then I picked it up again and I'm like, okay, not only is this not as complicated as I remember it being, but it's way prettier than I remember it. So yeah, I'm actually getting pretty close to finishing this first leg warmer here, so I definitely want to continue working on that. And I had to find my other double pointed needle that goes to this set, and good news is I did obviously find it because I couldn't find it right before I was getting ready for this video. Well, like the bad news is like it was in a place that made absolutely no sense instead of in one of my many like places I keep knitting things. So at least I found it. I need to be more careful. I may never leave them in like dangerous places, but just like keeping track of things is sometimes hard. So anyway, that is another one I'm working on. Oh, I was like trying to figure out why I had this yarn in two different balls that I had wound, and actually one of them is a different color. So let me fix that. Okay, good. It wasn't too bad. Wasn't tangled at all, actually. Thankfully. Okay, then another one that is kind of on pause right now, but you might have seen me working on if you have been watching some like reading sprints or anything, I am making a pair of like really cozy slippers. And these are going to be for me. So like I've taken a break because I'll need to add another color of yarn. So it's like not going to match, but because it's for me, I don't care. But like they look really giant actually, but they're going to be, I think, a pretty regular size. This is the bottom. The side is cabled. I love doing cables. Yeah, it's so satisfying, makes my brain happy. And I will, like I said, I'll need to find another yarn to add. That isn't going to look too weird, but I don't really care about it matching that much because again, I'm just going to be wearing these around my house, so who cares? I'm like much more like I'm a perfectionist when it comes to like making things for other people, but when it's like a project for me, I'm like, does it have to match? Not really. And this is actually the second slipper, so I'm realizing I'm making a lot of projects that I'll need to double, which is interesting, but this one I am like almost done with. I'll link my knitting book tag, by the way, if you are at all curious about that. Okay, and then the last one I have to show you, like I said, this is not the last project. This is actually more projects than I usually have going at once, even though I do always have multiple projects going. I don't usually have this many, but I promise. Anyway, so this last one I'm going to show you, I really like how it's looking. It's a little bit, what do you call it? Wrinkled. Couldn't think of the word right now, but it's gonna be really pretty, I think. And it's to use up a bunch of scrap yarn, and this is gonna be a nice big scarf. And it's actually made to be a bunch of different colors and to use up scrap yarn and stuff, which I am excited about because I have some yarn like remnants from other projects where it's like a really nice or like really pretty yarn, but I just don't have something small enough I can make with it. So doing like projects like this, I think is gonna be a great way to use those. So that is the last project. This one has been, it was a challenge because it ended up, I mean, it was great though. This is like how I like to learn new skills, is I find a pattern I really want to do, and then I'm like, well, I'm gonna have to learn how to do this thing, which is what happened with the make one right and make one left stitches. And like I looked up so many like tutorials and like pictures of like how to do it and everything, and then finally on one of the last ones where I was like, I think I may be getting it, but I'm not sure. I actually felt very reassured when the person demonstrating it said, like after she showed how to do it, she's like, if this feels easy or comfortable for you, you're probably doing something wrong because it is like a stitch that a lot of people have trouble with. And she didn't say it to be nasty. Like she genuinely was like, a trick to figure out if you are doing it right is it should feel like you're struggling at the beginning at least. So I appreciated that honesty. Okay, so those are the knitting projects that I have that I am focusing on or like actively working on right now. I have a couple others that are more like long-term, so I actually don't feel overwhelmed, especially because most of these are small projects, like, you know, socks, slippers, those leg warmers. So yeah, I think this is like manageable. Then for my currently reading update, I just hit my tripod, sorry. So as you guys might know, the Short Stack Readathon is going on for the whole month of January, and almost all of the things that I'm currently reading fit into that. So the first one I have here is The Complete Father Brown Stories by G.K. Chesterton, and I am currently reading the first collection in this giant bind-up, which is called The Innocence of Father Brown. I have read, let's see, I think I've read 6 or 7, yeah, 6 stories so far, and I'm really enjoying them. I'm glad I'm finally like getting to this collection. Then one that I just started, I'm only like 1 chapter into, I think, but that is The Mystery of Raspberry Hill by Eva Frantz, and translated by A.A. Prime, translated from the Swedish. I did not realize when I got this, I don't know if I didn't know this or if I just forgot, but I didn't realize it was translated, so that's really cool. And also it's by A.A. Prime, who translated one of my favorite fantasy series, which is the Marisi trilogy by Maria Turchaninov, so that was just very exciting. And this is very short, of course, and it's like a gothic middle grade mystery, and I think it's going to be really fun and really atmospheric, and I'm really looking forward to continuing that one. Then one that I'm actually almost done with, I'll be finishing this tonight, I think, because I've kind of been reading one of the 3 sections each night. I have Finding God in the Universe by Guy Consolmagno, which is part of the My Theology series, and Guy Consolmagno is a scientist at the Vatican Observatory, and this is like a different kind of nonfiction than what I expected somehow, but now that I'm into it, like, and I understand, I think, what it's doing, I'm really enjoying it. Like, I really like the way that he's like comparing and contrasting like the different ways of like approaching science and religion, but then also what they kind of have in common, you know, like about like the urge to like look at the sky and ask questions and things like that. I'm not doing a great job of describing it. I will have to do that when I actually wrap it up, but so far I am really liking that. Then I am also currently reading one that would not actually count for Short Stack readathon, but that is Miss Newbury's List by Megan Walker. This is an ARC I have. It is coming out in February, so I will have a review coming pretty soon, but this is a proper romance that I'm really enjoying so far. I am 82 pages into it, and we're following our main character, Rosalind Newbury, who is about to be married off to a duke, I think, and she has agreed to it, and she wants to, like, you know, help her family out and everything. Like, they didn't really push her into it. But she is still kind of like freaking out a little bit about the fact that she's going to be married and her whole life is going to be different, and that she hasn't done some of the things that she really wanted to. So she has kind of this like list of things that she wanted to accomplish before she got married, and this is kind of her last chance. I think it's like this summer is her last chance to accomplish those things before she does get married, and everything changes for her. And so her best friend ends up helping her, and her best friend's brother as well, or cousin actually. And the romance is going to be between the two of them, and I am enjoying it so far. I like the writing, I like the characters, and I really like that this book seems to be, like, I like the focus on, like, the emotional depth here, and how, like, Rosalind has so many conflicting feelings about this marriage, because, like, she is happy that she's achieved this. She wants to help her family and take care of them, but it's just different than she thinks. I don't know, I like the take on this very common, like, historical trope. So, not that being a common trope makes it bad. I just like kind of the way that it's like framing that, like, her conflict feels very believable to me. And then as kind of a bonus, I haven't even put this on Goodreads yet because I'm only a few pages in, and this was kind of when, like, I was trying to figure out what book I was in the mood to pick up next. And so sometimes I'll, like, read a little bit of a few different things, and then I just won't add them to Goodreads until I, like, actively start reading them, you know? But I do want to pick this one up during the month, and that is The First Chill of Autumn by W.R. Gingell, which is the third novella in the Shards of a Broken Sword series. So, I mean, yeah, I've only read, like, 10 pages or something, because I'm not, like, officially reading this yet, but I like it so far. I've really enjoyed this series, and they're very, like, loosely connected, so you can basically read these novellas as standalones, and this one is set in a kingdom. Like, we're following our main character, the Princess Dion, and their country is being occupied by the Fae, but, like, nobody seems to know that or admit that. So I'm still at the very beginning, but I think that's a very interesting premise, and I have enjoyed things by that author before. Okay, so that was my kind of chill, hopefully fun and cozy reading and knitting update. Please comment and let me know something you're reading, and if you're a crafter, let me know something that you're working on, or something that you're excited to work on, or anything like that. Just chat in the comments, and let me know how you guys like this kind of combination of current update video, because I thought it was fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon with another video, and I hope you love the next book you read. Bye!